Good evening, everyone. I want to thank the Akmati family. We've been in this house many times in the past, and they always open the door for us. Thank you very much here in Great Neck. And Kevin, who helped to organize, and Golche, and Danny, and all the good guys that always help. Baruch Hashem. We need Jews like this. And we decided to speak about the beauty of our heritage. And of course, you know me, that I prefer questions as many as you have. The more you have, the better it is. Like this, we know I answer some important questions. I will start, and then if you have questions, please feel free to ask. As you all know, we received the Torah more than 3,300 years ago. And we brought basically the spiritual light to the world. The goyim that are honest, they admit it. They have no problem admitting it. The goyim that are not honest, they can make any kind of lies they want. But history does not lie. Judaism is 1,300 years before Christianity and almost 2,000 years before Islam. So the problem that we have today, there's two problems. One is ignorance among the Jews, and one is ignorance among the goyim. So, for instance, many of the Jews are ignorant, so they don't know what to answer when they speak to the Gentiles. And many of the Gentiles believe all the nonsense that they are told in their mosque and in the churches. So therefore, the Jews don't know how to present their case, and the Goyim believes what they were told. And all of a sudden, we have a new reality. But the truth is that the Muslims take credit for a lot of the things, supposedly it's positive about their religion and about their culture, and it's all copied from the Torah, from Pirkei Avot, from the Torah, from the Gemara. It's all things that the Goyim saw that the Jews are doing for 2,000 years, and they adapted it to their religion. They also invented man-made law that some of them are, excuse my language, pretty ridiculous. But the laws that they take credit for, nothing is new by them. It's already in the Torah 2,000 years before. Fasting for repentance, they invented something. It was already in the Torah. Praying every day to Hashem, bowing down to Him, was all in the Torah for 2,000 years. Eat certain food and certain food don't eat. It comes from the Torah. Modesty of the women, family values, all comes from the Torah. They did not invent it. Same thing Christianity. Everything positive you find over there all comes from the Torah. And everything negative, it's against the Torah, like idols worshipping, making God a partner, a son, or things like that. So that's basically it. Now, it's not only among the Goyim that they modify and invented certain parts of the Torah, it's also among Jews. Among Jews, there are all kinds of cults who started in a much later time, like modern days, 200 years ago, 300 years ago, after Judaism was already 3,000 years and more all over the world published. All of a sudden there are groups in Judaism who come and claim that they invented certain things. Without going into names, I don't want to offend anyone. Like we say in Hebrew, Amevin Yavin. If you're clever enough, you understand. You don't understand, that means you don't have to understand. So those who understand what I'm talking about will get the point. The point is that many of the recent groups who started all kinds of cults among Judaism, and they claim that they are bringing something new to the world. But if you really search, you see nothing that they say positive was not there before. Everything they say was in the time of the Tanaim, the Amoraim. And people who are ignorant, they give them credit for things that supposedly they are very strong with, when it actually was all over already for 3,000 years. Even the Goyim used to do it, copying from the Jews 1,000 years before them. But they get a lot of credit. The problem with this is, if they come and teach it to the public, what's wrong? That's what the Torah says anyway, so they take credit for it. It's not the end of the world. The problem is that at one point they're starting to claim that if you're not one of them, you're not a Jew. That they are the Judaism. And everyone else has mistake. If you not belong to their cult, if you don't follow their leader, if you don't connect their way, then all of a sudden they exclude you like you're not a Jew. So I thought, first of all, let's go to the beginning, the foundation of Judaism. Judaism was all over, like I say, for 3,000 years. Everyone followed the Talmud for 1,500 years until the level of the people went down. And it was very hard for the people 500 years ago already to get the halacha directly from the Talmud, because it's not so easy. That's why Rabbi Yosef Karo came and wrote Shulchan Aruch, to make it easy for most of the ignorant people who were in Israel. It was very difficult for them every time they look for halacha to start searching for 2 hours. So he made everything organized in chapter, in subjects, 1, 2, 3, 4, different subjects. So even that today, 500 years later, it's difficult for us to understand. At his generation, there was already like feeding you with a spoon, like a baby. But today, even the great rabbis have difficulties to understand what he wrote 500 years ago, because the level of the people is constantly going down so much that who knows what's going to be next. Explanation on explanation on explanation. But the foundation never changed. It's just every few hundred years, somebody comes and make it more simple. But it's the same heritage, the same everything. The Shulchan Aruch, it's not an invention. He didn't sit and make new laws. It all comes directly from the Talmud. And the Talmud, the Bavli Talmud, which is more accurate than Jerusalem Talmud, parts of the Jerusalem Talmud is missing. That's why we don't go by the Jerusalem Talmud mainly. We take it as an assistant, but the Babylonian Talmud is the main foundation because all the information is there. And also the Babylonian Talmud came after the Jerusalem Talmud, which he saw the Jerusalem Talmud and still wrote what he wrote. That means we go by the most accurate and last decision of the time of the Tanaim and the Amoraim. The Talmud, the Babylonian Talmud was concluded approximately 1600 years ago. It was a period of 400 years of Jewish law, was transferred from rabbi to student all over the world, mainly in Babylon, Bavel, and was officially concluded by Rav Ashi and Ravina, 2 of the Amoraim, the last 2 Amoraim that concluded the Talmud. Every clever person who has a little bit understanding about Gemara, which means you learn 2-3 months in his life Gemara, not more than that, and is still in a level of a complete beginner, will know right away that a creation like the Talmud is above human. It's not a human creation. No person can write such a thing. Thousands of pages, every line or 2, there's a new subject, arguments, very deep, very sharp. You need very sharp brain to understand. Speaking in a very, very short language, sometimes 1 word instead of 10, sometimes 3-4 words instead of 40 words. It's very difficult to understand. They spoke basically in codes. And also it's in Aramaic, which makes it even more harder. And not only that, after all that, you have hundreds of topics and a period of years to write such a thing with a feather. Remember, there was no pens or computer or typing or printing or scanning or any of the things that we have today. So to write such a thick, it's more than 20 thick, big books. You can see the Gemara everywhere you go. To write it with a feather on a scroll, that's how it was the original Gemarot, for years, to write it every day a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more, and after years not to contradict yourself, and to remember all the details and all the names of all the rabbis of the last 400 years in every topic of the Torah. What person can do such thing? You take 1,000 rabbis and you give them 70 years with computers. Today they won't be able to write the Talmud. Take all the biggest in the world. Give them computers, scanning, whatever you want, budget. Nobody will be able to write 1 chapter of these Gemaras. And the more you learn it, the more you are amazed how deep it goes. From the outside, it looks brilliant. But then you learn again, it looks even more brilliant. And then you learn again more and more. And the more you learn, you're amazed. Wow, I didn't see this one. Wow, I didn't see how it connects to another chapter and another Gemara. It's unbelievable. I always say, you don't need seminar with proofs that the Torah is divine. Just going to see what the Talmud is, you see right away, this is not a human creation. Not only that, just to learn a little bit about the holy language, Lashon HaKodesh, the language of our Torah, you see right away it's divine. It doesn't leave any doubts. You see, the language is so brilliant. And you compare it to all the other languages, like comparing a person to a monkey. It's also a language. But the Torah, every word has a meaning, every word indicates what it means, the source of it, the purpose of it. It's amazing. And you see right away, that's not a human creation. However, when you go to other cultures and religions, you see right away the difference. If you're a little bit clever, you don't have to be an expert. There's few problems, however. What are the problems? The problems is that most of the Jews in the world are ignorant. That's the truth. They're business people, they're great doctors, they're great computer engineers, they could be great lawyers, judges, whatever you want. Jews more or less are successful, the most successful nation in the history. There's no doubt about that. It's a nation who contributed more than any other nation to civilization, to society, to medicine, the most prize winner in history, and in physics, in all kinds of things. It's a known things. Per every 100 people in the world, the Jews have the highest successful amount of people from every 100 than any other nation in history. I'll give you an example. In the United States, the Jewish people are approximately 6 million people all over the United States. And the society in the United States is about 300 million. Maybe more with the immigrants, but about 300 millions. And 6 million contributed the same amount of doctors like the 300 million. 300 million contributed 50% of the doctors, and the 6 million contributed the same amount of doctors. What does it tell you? Same thing with lawyers, with judges, etc. So you see, they're educated people, and there's no question about that. Also with wealth, in the list of the most wealthy people in the world, compared to a small nation like this, they have a very high amount of people. And the Torah already said it, that everywhere you be, you'll be the star. Everywhere you be, you'll be like a shining star. And everyone will talk about you, and you'll be the center of everything. The Torah already said to the Jews, "Va'ita sham lemashal u'lishnina." You'll be like a parable. Everyone will compare themselves to you. It's all going to be a competition, etc. However, when it comes to Torah, most of the Jews are totally ignorant. They don't know, of course there's people who learn and know, but most of them don't even know what a kid in kindergarten should know. And it doesn't matter, they can be very educated people and very successful, but when you begin to talk to them about Torah and the truth, you see such nonsense that they talk, you want to cry. But they are 100% sure that they know everything. That's the sad part. It's one thing, a person that is ignorant in a field that he doesn't know anything about it, and he comes as an ignorant, you say, teach me, I really don't know anything. That's one thing. At least there's a chance to achieve something. Problem is that a person has no idea, and he comes and he gives speeches, and he criticizes, and this, and doesn't know anything. And you ask yourself, where should I start with him? He doesn't know alphabet, doesn't know the chronological order, doesn't know who's the father of who. It doesn't know when the Torah was given. It doesn't even know what oral Torah is. I'm just coming from another lecture in Queens now. I had a lecture from 6 o'clock. You should see how nice people, husbands, wife, nice people, educated, all college graduate. And the question they ask about Shabbat, about the oral Torah, you see, no knowledge whatsoever. So since the Jews do not have any knowledge, it's very problematic today that when you bring them the Torah, they don't know to tell the difference between important and not important. Let me explain. The Torah, it's like an ocean. It's like an ocean. In everything in the Torah, there is things that it's an obligation, and there are things that it's a smaller obligation, and there are things that it's not an obligation, it's a choice. You want to do it? Very nice. You don't want to do it? Not the end of the world. And there are customs, and there are something that called chumrot. Chumrot means a person wants to be extra strict. No one forces you. This is what the requirement law is. And you say, you know what, I'll do 10% more. I'll do 20% more. I'm going to do it in a certain way. I know I can do it like this is what the Torah requires, but I want to do more for Hashem. That's called midat chasidut. The Ramchal, Rabbi Moshe Chaim Luzzatto, in a legendary book, Path to the Just, which I have a whole series about it in English in my website, it's very recommended to every Jew. So he speaks about midat chasidut. What does it mean to be a chassid? Today, when you ask a Jew, what does it mean a chassid? What does he say? He has a beard, and peos, and a fair hat, and a long coat, and he eats kugel and shulen. That's a chassid, speaks Yiddish. That's how they'll describe a chassid. Satmer, Vishnitz, Bobov, It's all Hasidim. Today, yes, that's their name. But what does it really mean to be a Hasid according to the Torah? Remember, it means to do above the necessary requirements. The Torah told you this is what you have to do, and you want to do even more. Like, what is it like? Your father say, make me a sandwich. The father comes home from work, he said to his son or his daughter, please make me a sandwich. Make me a sandwich means take a slice of cheese, put it in 2 pieces of rye bread on a table, throw 1 tomato on a thing and serve it. That's one way to make him a sandwich. Did she fulfill her mission? Yeah. Say, make me a sandwich. I got you a sandwich. There are 2 ways to make a sandwich. One is to do it the way I just described, and one is to go and cut nice pickles and slice the tomatoes and put olives and put all kinds of sauce and heat the bread and maybe melt the cheese and bring all kinds of extra things. So when she finally serve him with a sandwich, it's so much better, right? So now one way or the other, both of them make sandwich, but one did more than the requirements, more when the father asked this, and I want to show you that I'm honored to make it for you, I'm happy to make it for you, and it's not a burden for me, I actually so happy that I have the merit to serve you, that's why I do it from 100% from my heart. Of course, if you ask every logical person which way is better to serve God, in the minimum requirements or the highest that you can go, every normal person would know right away, of course, the higher you go, the more reward you're going to get. Very simple, it's common sense. However, there's a problem. What's the problem? If a person is in a 0 level and you come to teach him Torah and he asks you a question and you teach him the highest level when he's still not in this level, and every day he comes to learn by you and you teach him Kabbalah, this Gula, that thing, extra, Hasidut, this, that. You make the religion so much harder for him. What happened to a person like this in the end? After 3 months he collapses and he becomes Mechalel Shabbat. You ask him, Moshe, what happened? You were Shomer Shabbat for 3 months. Too much, too difficult. This is not allowed. This is not allowed. This I cannot do. Cannot walk on the grass. Cannot touch this. Cannot touch that. Too much for me. I can't live this kind of life. So this person eventually would die 100% like a goy. Because the Torah says, Mechalel Shabbat is 100% like a goy. Whose fault is that this Jew died as a goy and lost his share to the world to come? The one who taught him. The one who taught him did not teach him in a right way. How do you teach the Jews when they are in 0 level? They're completely ignorant in the Torah. You only teach them the minimum requirements. This is the red line. Below here, you fail already. But up to here, you pass. Let's first pass. And let's talk in 5 years. After you learn Torah, you know a lot, you're much stronger, you're more established. Let's go to the next level. This is one of the main problems that I see today. People do not know what's allowed, what's not allowed, what's extra, what's required, what's important, what's not important. Nobody knows. And that's why you find people who hardly know to read 1 word in Hebrew and hardly understand any halacha. Nothing whatsoever. Mamash 0, their mind is blocked in Judaism, and they are doing things that the biggest Kabbalist in the world. And at the same time violating the most critical laws of the Torah. Looks like a joke. I sometimes go to places, I go to communities all over the world, and I find Jews who does things like the chief rabbi of the world. And at the same time, they're doing the most horrible sins of the Torah with no problem. Just like this, one after the other. What's going on here? It doesn't make sense. Imagine a doctor. He is trying to learn how to operate in the brain before he doesn't know what Advil is. What's Advil? I never heard of it. What's Tylenol? Never heard of it. What's anesthesia? Don't know what it is. But he wants to learn about the brain surgery. It doesn't make sense. So what's going on? Since people do not know the heritage, they don't know the beauty and the way the Torah was given, they cannot tell the difference between what they have to do and what it's extra. And therefore, one way, they leave the religion completely. Second, after a while they get tired and they stop doing what's really critical. If you teach them what they have to do and everything else you wait, then one day they'll get to a level that they will be capable of keeping the extras. But since you did not wait, in the end you lost them completely. So how does a person knows what he must do or not? One of the most important things, he has to choose the right rabbi. Some rabbis are extremely righteous, and they are very high level. They're very holy, they go to the mikveh every day, they watch their eyes, they're very careful what goes into their mouth. To catch them making a sin is 1 to a billion, it's almost impossible. And that's not the argument. It's 100% a holy man. However, just to be smart and to know a lot of Torah and to be holy, it's not enough than to instruct people what to do. You need experience with people. You need to know people. You have to read the person. When a person comes to speak to you, you have to read right away what's his maximum capacity. If you don't know it, you cannot teach. You cannot tell people what to do. You have to send them to someone else. You can know the whole Torah by heart. You don't have experience with people, it's not enough. If you are a doctor, you know everything from college, you went to medical school, you know all the books by heart, but you never worked in the operation room. You didn't participate in 50, 60 surgeries at least, and you have experience, you cannot tell people recommendations, what to do, how to do with surgeries. Just because you know it from the book, it's not enough. It's not enough just to be chacham. It's enough to have chokhmah of the people, to read them, to know what to say, what not to say, when to say, what to say. This is very difficult, I'm telling you. This usually comes after many, many years of experience. Where does it say what I say? Maybe it's my own opinion, maybe I'm making it up. How do we know that what I say is 100% true? The answer is, the Chachamim, Chazal say a very important rule. Gadol shimusha yoter milomda. Someone who was attached to a big Chacham is greater than someone who learned a lot without being a Meshamesh. What? Let me explain to you. Many times you can go to yeshiva from morning to night and you teach, and after 20 years you're a very big Chacham. No problem. 100% Chacham. Sometimes you learn only 10 years. But you were attached to a very big rabbis that every morning and every night people coming to ask him questions. To do, not to do. What should I do? What should I do with the boy? What should I do with my wife? What should I do in my business? My partner is doing this. Thousands of questions like this every month. Multiply by 20 years. You got a lot of experience. Somebody else may know more Torah than you, but he won't be able to give people the right advice. So what do we see? The Gemara asks a question. How all of a sudden we have arguments, what's the right halacha in Judaism? One rabbi say allowed, one say not allowed, one say yes, no, yes, arguments about all kinds of things. How? The Torah say, up to Bet Shammai and Bet Hillel, the time of Bet Shammai, like 2,100 years ago, there was no disagreements. Everything was clear. There was black and white. All of a sudden there's so many gray areas that it's open to arguments and challenging and these dilemmas. What's going on here? The Gemara say, Talmidei Bet Shammai ve Bet Hillel, the student of Shammai, Shammai was the main chief rabbi, and Hillel, and the students of Hillel, from their time the arguments began. Disagreements about many topics in the halacha. Why? Shelo shimshu dayam. They did not used as assistant to the rabbis to see from morning to night, not only how to learn, how to turn it into reality, how to practice the halakha. Not enough just to learn from the books. And therefore there was all kinds of arguments. What are we going to do 2,000 years later? We are not 1% of they were 2,000 years ago. Today the situation is much more critical. So the answer is, the Torah already gave us the actual solution for the problem. The Torah say, "Vaya ki yeh machloket." One day there will be arguments. You won't be able to find the absolute truth. You ask a question about food, if it's kosher or not. One person would say yes, one person would say no. And in that case, what's going to be? You won't know who to listen to. He say you're allowed to eat, and he say you're not allowed to eat. So what are we doing in this case? So there are two solutions. One solution is, It's lecture with some background music. Last time I had a movie with the background music, we had to redo the whole movie because people complain they can't focus because of the music. I thought they will relax the people, make them stay longer to watch. In the end, they complain about the music, we have to do the whole movie again. So anyway, we'll move on. So there are two ways today to follow the halacha. One is to become Talmid Chacham, to learn many years, to follow a rabbi morning and night, to be his assistant, and you learn everything from him. How many people would do it? 1 out of 1,000. That's reality. Most people go to work, college, they don't have time for that. The other way is to attach yourself to a rabbi and everything you ask him what to do, because you don't know how to decide. You don't know to open books and decide what to do, how to do in this situation to go to the strict side, and the other situation to go to the other side. That's what we call Aseh lecha rav v'istalek ma'asafek. Nominate yourself a rabbi that will clarify all your doubts. But we have to know one thing. If a person is not attached to that Torah, the opinion of the Torah, he can make critical mistakes in his life. Once, when he gets married. Just because you met a pretty girl, and just because she wears skirt and keeps Shabbat, doesn't mean she's going to be a good wife for you. And it could be she's a righteous woman, and you're a righteous guy, and still you're not a match. Because you have one goal in your life and she has a different goal. When a person sees the beauty of a girl, or she sees the guy's handsome or comes from an important family, that's like a bribe. It's like a person who receives bribes. From that moment on, he cannot see the truth. Even if he's a very honest person with himself, he can't see the truth. He thinks she's the most righteous girl. Everything I saw about her is positive. And she may think about the same thing about him, but they don't see the objective truth. That's why you need somebody with life experience and lots of knowledge and Torah that can read people, can speak to them 10, 15 minutes and get the point. And many of these cases, it can save your life. I remember a case that one time I had, actually in all the 17 years that I speak, and Baruch Hashem, Hashem helped me to make thousands of Jews Shomer Shabbat. One of them I remember as the top of the pyramid. And I can't say his name because I'm going to tell you a story that it's nothing to brag about. Every other story I can tell about this guy is like speaking about Rabbi Akiva. That's how he was in my eyes, this guy, in this generation. But one mistake he made, and he paid for it a big price. First of all, this person came to me for Shabbat accidentally. What does it mean? You know, there's no accident. I got a phone call. Somebody, one secretary from the office, she called him up. He was renting an apartment from her uncle in Brooklyn. She asked him, would you want to come to Monsey for Shabbat to see what Shabbat is? Now he's a complete Chiloni, complete secular. Very high blorit, his hair is up, very strange sideburns, you know. See right away, you know, him and Torah is two different opposites. But he has a very good heart, and many of the people that has good heart, it's very easy to make them religious because all you have to show them that they live in mistake and their conscience begin to bother them. People who have no conscience, it's very difficult to change them, or their conscience is dead. You have to revive their conscience, sometimes may take years. But some people, their conscience is live and kicking. All you have to do is to show them that they're mistaken in their life. And right away they change. So he agreed to come for Shabbat. So she called me, she said, you willing to host this guy? I say, yes, send him in. He comes to my house, give him a yarmulke. He comes in, we begin to talk in the meal, Friday, Saturday, all Shabbat we talks. Then he goes back home, Motzei Shabbat. It's full of inspiration from the Shabbat. 10 o'clock at night, he arrived to Brooklyn, he calls me up. He say, you're not going to believe what my friends in our house doing to me. They live many guys and many girls in the same house. So he say, you have no idea what they're doing to me. I said, what do you mean? He said, they're all making fun at me. They go, you crazy. I say, why? How do they know where you went? He said, what do you mean? They see the yarmulke. I say, you want to tell me that after you left my house, you didn't take the yarmulke off? First Shabbat in his life. He said, how can I take the yarmulke off? I saw the truth. That's it. Right away, became 100% Shomer Mitzvot. Every mitzvah I told him right away. No, yes, no, prove to me. How do I know? Right away. So I already kept the yarmulke. Okay, so I say, you know what, you holy neshama, come to the yeshiva, learn Torah for a year or two. He comes to the yeshiva, of course, he becomes number one in the yeshiva. He's cleaning, he's cooking, he takes the garbage, he goes bring the food, it's 4 o'clock in the morning, he's up. Mamash, an angel. One day, somebody introduced to him a girl, pretty girl. She was trying to become religious, but she was not enough. She didn't reach the minimum level. And of course, you know what happened after being 2 years in yeshiva, he didn't see a girl. He started to see stars. And he said, wow, she's the greatest. And I told him, listen, you don't see the picture correctly. He said, no, that's it. I'm telling you, I have no doubts. I said to him, you make a mistake. I'm warning you. I remember driving to the yeshiva at 1:30 at night, bringing him down, sitting on the stairs for an hour, warning him, begging him to change his mind, to get engaged. And what happened in the end? He didn't listen to me, of course. Why? He was sure. He went and got married. What happened after? He had the nightmare of his life. She made him such problems, and he suffered so much. I never saw a person who suffered so much for a period of 2 years like this guy suffered from this girl. It got to a point that they had a baby, they didn't let him come to the brit. They didn't let him see the boy. They went to court, they fought against him, and he's a 100% righteous person. Never did one bad thing, like the things she was screaming, cursing, all kinds of things. Then, of course, they got divorced, and Hashem had mercy on him and got him a real angel, and he established a great family, and everything, Baruch Hashem, worked out. What do you see here? What you think is good for you, you don't see the truth. You bring somebody else, he can show you right away a few things you're not aware of. You always have to be clever to learn from other people's experience. And it's also not only in religion, it's in everything in life. In accounting, in law, in medicine, architect. You have a friend, he's a good architect, you're building a house. You can always hear an advice. Tell you if you do it like this, it will cost you double the electric bill. Because this, circulation, that, all kinds of things you may not think. Experience of others can prevent problems from us. A smart Jew is a person who learns from other people's mistake. A smart Jew is a person who makes mistake once and never second times. You made mistake in this field, you'll never repeat the same mistake. If you repeat the same mistake, something is not right here. One time you can make mistake, second time is stupidity. First time is ignorance, second time is stupidity. If you have an advice and someone who guides you, it will save you a lot of problems in life. One of the proofs is colleges. Most of the people, their parents send them to college because their parents don't think about them, they think about themselves. The parents want to brag to their friends that their kid or daughter went to college and they're going to be a doctor or a lawyer or something supposedly important. However, some of these children, they are not meant for this job. And they are not meant for this career and for this kind of studying. And it's just a matter of time until 2 or 3 years they'll drop out and they stay with zero and they get depressed and their life will be a mess. If they had a rabbi who advised them, then he would save them from their parents' plan. Sometimes it's the other way around. Sometimes the parents are right. He wants to go somewhere and the parents are right. So who is going to tell them? You cannot rely. In religion, some of the parents are good people, but they don't know anything about religion. They don't know about Shabbat. They don't know about Tefillin. They don't know about modesty. They don't know about anything. Can they give their children advice how to be righteous? Every advice they give them will destroy them. Now, if you love your parents, would you listen to them? If your father comes and tells you, come with me to the restaurant, eat fish. Don't worry, don't eat meat. Eat fish and salad. And you think, kabed et avicha ve'et imecha, I have to respect my father. I also don't want to fight with him. So you go and you sit in some diner and you eat with the same knives and forks that they just cut the pork an hour ago, and the shrimps and who knows what else, and all the kinds of plates that they're using and the ovens that they cook inside the fish. A minute before that they just put pork and who knows what else. So you're 100% eating not kosher. Not kosher, it's not just when you put the pork inside your mouth. It's the same oil, it's the same oven, it's the same pans. What do you think it is? So because you don't listen and because you don't know, they give you the advice, they destroy you. Also in marriages, many of the parents want their kids to have a wealthy shidduch. Marry him, he's wealthy, he's successful. Don't marry him, he doesn't have a house in Great Neck yet. Or in Beverly Hills. And what happened? 90% of these advices turned to poison. Who knows? I know. How do I know? I hear these miserable people come to cry about what happened to them. Going to get married with someone because he's financially successful is the biggest mistake. The biggest. Why? The Torah warned from it, big time. The Torah says, Kol ahava tluya badavar sofa litbatel. Guarantee. Just like oxygen will always be, just like water is 72% of the world, every love that depends on materialistic interest, guarantee to be dismissed and turned into a bitter battle. Guarantee, just a matter of time. And what happened later? Problems, lashon hara, families, fighting, people on the street, cheating, custody battles, 3 divorces, one after the other. What's going on? Where is Hashem in the picture? Who forgot Hashem? Just one convenience. I want this, I want vacations, I want to go to holidays for hotels. Okay, so it's going to remain for a year, and then that's going to happen later. Don't you see that how many people make the same mistake and they all ended up buried and depressed and taking anti-depression medicine for the rest of their life? You don't trust me? Go and check the statistic. How many divorce rates we have in the wealthy communities? The highest in the world. Go and check. All the wealthy Jewish community, the highest divorce rate in the world. Not in America, in the world. Coincidence? Of course not. Nobody asked. Everyone wants convenience, sweet, delicious life. This sweet, delicious life will be maximum 6, 7, 8 months, and that's it. After that, you face reality. You know what a nightmare it is to live 20, 30 years with a person in a house that you're not in love with, you don't love him. You have a wife and you don't love her. You have a husband, you don't love him. He has nice money, he's a nice person. He goes to minyan 5 o'clock in the morning. Very religious man. 100%. And she's very religious, but they're not in love. They're not the shidduch. They never had love between them. And what happened in this generation? Eventually it's explode. And then all the problems begin. And then the children that grow up in a house like this, when there's no love between the husband and wife, usually there's a war. It's either love or war. There's usually no in between. If there is love, it covers over the arguments and the disagreements. Once there's no love, there's nothing to put them together. So every little thing becomes a World War III. Why did you do this? Why did you do that? I don't want to go to your parents. No, we're not going to go. You're not going to invite them. You invite them. I leave the house. So every day, Rabbi, you have to come. What happened? He beat me up. Rabbi, I'm calling 911. Nice people. They're not the shidduch. One time I had a guy, I set him up with a girl, but I had suspicion that the girl would go after his money. He was a very wealthy guy. So he had like a car that worth maybe $150,000. So I told him, listen, leave your car in my driveway and take my garbage car to the shidduch. So he told me, what do you mean? I said, trust me, it's the best advice I can give you. If you go with your car, she for sure will take you. But she won't take you, she'll take your car. No, what? That's the whole point. He's thinking, I told him, you're fool, I'm trying to save you from problems. But he doesn't want to give up the shidduch because he heard there's a pretty girl, whatever. So I said to him, you know what? Why don't you just send the car? You don't have to go to the date. Just send the car with the driver. Tell her I'm the driver. He just wanted to see if you approve. Okay, mazal tov. Send the ring. She doesn't need to see you. There are 2 kinds of people who marry without seeing their husband or their wife. One, if you're a very big Talmid Chacham like the Chazon Ish met his wife in a chuppah. He said to the Shadchan, listen, I don't want to waste time. I'm learning Torah. I trust your judgment. Bring me a kosher wife, religious wife. I'll see her in a chuppah. I like her. We'll get married. He brought him a wife.
You have to be in love with. You know what I mean? Like, he can't just go along with her.
No, you have to understand what does it mean. Ordinary people like us, you're right. most 99.9% of the people, they live according to the law of nature. You have to fall in love, you have to have connection, etc. People that are in a level of angels, which means they learn so much Torah all their life without 1 minute stop, like the Chazon Ish was, or Rav Shach, or people like this, or Ben Zion Abba Shaul, or Chacham Ovadia Yosef. People like this, their way of life is completely different than others. They are in such spiritual level that their desires hardly exist. They don't have the desires of an ordinary person. Therefore, by them, first of all, you have to understand, when they go to get married after 20 years, let's say they're 20 years old, they never look at a woman once in their life. So any woman they'll see they love, because they don't know what to compare. He went to the club, he met 15 girls every month, and now he's confused which one I'm going to take. He doesn't have all this. Every woman you bring him, his mind is in the Torah. He doesn't care, beauty, body, this, this clothing, this. They're not in this league. They don't care. So he told him, bring her to the thing. I'll give you an example of what I say, it's reality. You know, there used to be a very big rabbi 250 years ago. He's named the Khatam Sofer in Hungary. So the Khatam Sofer married the daughter of Rabbi Akiva Iger, who was a big angel. In the Talmud, you have his commentaries. Rabbi Akiva Iger, he knew the whole Talmud by heart, word by word. So one day, his daughter died. The wife of the Khatam Sofer, she became older, she passed away. And Khatam Sofer got remarried. And one time, Rabbi Akiva Iger said to Khatam Sofer that he's coming to visit him. In the meantime, they never told him that his daughter passed away. They didn't want to disturb him to sit Shiva because he's learning Torah non-stop. So better not to tell him. So after a few years, he said, I want to come visit you. Now his daughter passed away a few years already. It's a true story. So he said to the new wife, when he comes, pretend that you are his daughter. Serve him Abba, call him Abba, Dad. So she said, he doesn't recognize his daughter. He said, I promise you, I put my life here. He never looked at his daughter once in his life. They don't look at women, these people. I'll tell you, you won't see the difference. And he came the entire night, he was there, and he didn't know that it's not his daughter. You understand what kind of people we had 250 years ago? Do you have a person like this in the world today? We don't have. 250 years ago, we had people like this. We had the Ramchal, 4 o'clock in the morning. 40 kilo he weighed, 90 pounds, 100 pounds. He goes on in Italy, in Padova, freezing, 20 below zero. The lake is all ice, with barefoot. Take off his clothes, take a stick, break the ice, goes inside, pieces of ice. Look like a scarecrow. Goes inside, the mikveh comes out, go learn Torah all day, all night. Wrote 100 books, the highest level of Kabbalah. These people were here, but they were really not here. The body was here, but the soul was always in heaven. So we had thousands of rabbis like this in history. Who are we going to get advice? From them or from all the psychologists and psychiatrists who commit suicide in the highest rate in America? Who should we get advice from? Look who's the highest rate of committing suicide. Among them is the psychiatrist.
Isn't it dentist?
Dentist also, but psychiatrists. They're fighting who's going to take number one. Why dentist? They smell too much garlic. Again. Is it really dentist? That's new to me.
Dentist.
Dentist?
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
Everyone's scared of the dentist, so like they get
Because people scared of the dentist, they commit suicide.
like
What's the
kids that go to the dentist, they'll always crying.
No, they get disgusted every day. They have to see all the garbage inside someone's mouth.
Yeah, but open heart surgery is much more disgusting than a cavity.
It's all the duggings, that's it.
Very hard.
I think it's a 99-cent store owner is the number one killer.
Yeah. 99. I tell you, I give you an example. What does it mean, a word of a holy tzaddik that never looked at anything bad in his whole life? Who was he? The Stipler. The father of Rav Chaim Kanievsky, Rabbi Yaakov Kanievsky, passed away about 20 years ago, a little more. So he was in Bnei Brak. One time, Rav Elbaz, the Rosh Yeshiva of Orach Chaim, made a wedding, Kiddushin, a guy from the Yeshiva and a girl from the Midrashiyah. The girl is in a place, all the guests, 300 guests, and the Khatan is not arriving. Where is the Khatan? No Khatan. No Khatan. 8 o'clock already. It was supposed to be there 6:30. No Khatan. Now, in the old days, there was no cellular phone. There was rotary phones. And not everyone in Israel had rotary phone. But this Khatan had rotary phone in his house. So they dialing to his house, nobody answered. 8:30 already. The chuppah was supposed to end by now. And there's no Khatan. He didn't come. The groom. So the Rav Elbaz asked the people from the yeshiva, anyone has an idea where we can find your friend? So one guy say, maybe it's by his grandmother. He said, no, can you give us the number? So he said, yeah, I know the number. Here is the number. Call the number. So he called up to his grandmother. He picked up the guy. Where are you? Why are you not here? Rabbi, please forgive me. I'm not coming to the wedding. I said, oh, everyone is here. What do you mean you're not coming? I said, no, I thought about it all day. I cannot marry this girl. She's not for me. The rabbi said, are you crazy? You're going to do such a thing to a girl waiting for the wedding? You're not showing up. You had months to think about it. Now you decided not to come. He said, yeah, I was on, off. That's it. I cannot do it. The rabbi said, listen, you're going to get a big punishment from us. We're not going to let you go like this. Cannot do such things. He said, no, don't scare me. I'm on my way to the airport. I'm leaving to America. I don't come back here. From the embarrassment, I cannot stay here. Everyone will talk about me. I didn't show up to my wedding. There's nothing the rabbi could do now. When the guy hang up the phone. Now go and tell the girl that her husband is not coming. So he didn't know what to do. So he ran to the house of the Stipler. Father of Rav Chaim Kanievsky was 1 block away in Bnei Brak. Rabbi, don't ask what happened. I never saw in my whole life making kiddushin in weddings, such a thing. So the rabbi said to him, listen, go back to the place, go to all the guys from the yeshiva, find someone who looks like him. Ask him if he's willing to marry her. And tell him if he will marry her, I will be his guarantor that he will have the best life that a person can have. Best marriage, best children, and succeed in everything he does. I'm guaranteeing. Tell him in my name. So the rabbi come, say, you're getting married tonight. Come. Look, you like the girl? Yeah, I like the girl. I don't know her. Don't worry, she's a tzadikah. You like the guy? Yeah. All right, mazal tov. Come. He said, wait a minute, my parents don't know I'm getting married. Call them quick. Abba, take a cut quickly, I'm getting married. No, don't ask questions. The father said, you crazy? What? Rabbi, what's going on here? He said, don't worry, it's the word of the Stipler. They heard the Stipler, end of argument. That's emunat chachamim. Right away, the parents came, the mother fixed her hair, like this. Okay, mazal tov, 10 o'clock, they finished the chuppah. Rav Elbaz said that story. He said, 10 years after, I follow this family every year to see the best children in yeshivot, the best marriage, perfect, mamash like paradise. The word of a chacham, they asked him when he was 90, why you have glasses, Rabbi? We know that person gets glasses, he loses vision because the sins he makes with his eyes. He makes sins with his eyes, he loses eyesight. But what sin you made with your eyes? You're so careful not to look. And he say, one day I walked in the street and I looked at the cover of a secular Israeli newspaper, Yediot Achronot. That moment I knew I'm going to lose my eyesight, and the next day I didn't see anymore. Clear. It was already obvious to me that I'm going to pay the price. In his level, we can see 1,000 times and we still see 20/20. Why? Because Hashem knows with these losers, every little thing they do, you give them a punishment, you destroy them after a week. But someone who's in a top league, every little mistake, he gets his punishment here, that he comes pure to heaven. Doesn't have to go through a process of Gehinom, purify soul, dry clean for the soul, all the things that we probably will have to go through, he doesn't have to. So let's move back to what we said. So, the religion is really, really beautiful. Some people makes the religion not as beautiful as it is. How the religion is beautiful. Let's go on some of the things that the Torah speaks about to see how beautiful it is. First First thing, the foundation of the Torah is to be a decent human being. To be honest, to be Baal Chesed, to be generous, not to be egoistic, to help others, to care for others, to be sensitive, to be faithful. Only good things, not one bad things the Torah recommends to a person. If a person fulfills this mission, this obligation that Hashem said to him, you have to be A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Can he lose? He doesn't have one enemy. Everyone loves him. Everyone gives him money, nobody worry. Doesn't have to bring collateral, guarantee. Everyone trusts your word. Everywhere you go, your reputation speaks for you. If you have good reputation, one word that you say better than 1,000 contracts. The Gemara says there used to be a criminal, Rish Lakish, Rabbi Shimon ben Lakish. Before he was a rabbi, was Shimon the gangster. Shimon the gangster one day went by the lake and he saw a beautiful woman swimming. What does a gangster do when he goes by the lake and he sees a woman swim in the middle of the lake? He jumps right away and he pretends that he's practicing swimming. So 2 minutes later, he says, hey, how are you? He turns around, he sees it's a man. How can it be 2,000 years ago to make mistake between a man and a woman? It was impossible because every man had a beard. There was no Gillette yet. So what happened? Because Rabbi Yochanan naturally didn't have a beard. Some people don't have beard, maybe a little bit, but nothing. The Ramchal also didn't have almost a beard, very little. The Latino, the Italianos, some of them don't have beard. The Mexican don't have beard. There's some people that their genes makes their beard very thin or no beard at all. So he thought from far away it's a woman. When he got close, he saw that after all, he's a man. At Peot, so from far away he looked like a woman. But he was a very handsome man. He was sitting by the mikveh, that every woman who dips in the mikveh comes out, she sees his face sitting and learning by the mikveh. They ask him, what are you sitting by the mikveh? He said, don't you know that when a woman comes out of the mikveh, the first thing she sees affects the beauty of the baby, if she conceived tonight. So at least she sees somebody handsome, her kids will be pretty, instead of seeing something else. So they say, you're not afraid of Ayin Hara? Everyone is amazed from your beauty. It's going to be Ayin Hara. I say, no, I'm from the descendants of Yosef, the tzaddik, that got the blessing from Jacob, that is protected from Ayin Hara. No evil eye. That's Rabbi Yochanan. So Rabbi Yochanan told the criminal, I know you came all the way here because you thought I'm a woman, but I have a better news for you. My sister is much prettier than me, and I'm willing to make a shidduch to you and her. And one condition, that you come to the yeshiva and you start learning, you become a tzaddik. You come, you learn Torah, you become a tzaddik, I match my sister to you and marry you. He said, Rabbi, yeah, you promise me? He said, deal. Okay, come. So he brought him to the yeshiva and started to teach him Torah, and really was a brilliant person. And instead of being a criminal, he became a big chacham, and they became chevruta. All their life they learned together. So the Gemara say, Rabbi Shimon ben Lakish, Rish Lakish, once he became a holy man, every person that he spoke to on the street, all the investors ran to that person to give him money without a contract and witnesses. Take $100,000, invest for me. How do you know me? I don't know you. So why are you giving me your money without lawyers, contracts, pictures? Why? The rabbi spoke to you, we know you kosher. Why? Because he didn't speak to any not kosher person. Once he became religious, he made a rule. I'm either religious or not, no 50-50. If I'm religious, I cut from all my bad friends. All of them, all the crooks, all the not modest people, my cousins, those who smokes drugs, those who drives on Shabbat. I don't want anything to do with them. Me and Hashem in the right way. Why? The more I'm going to be with them, they drag me back to what I was. That's always the case. The nature of a person that is attracted to negative things. And with the help of the Satan, the evil inclination, of course it gets much harder. And with his relatives and friends who brags him here, and a wedding there, and a party there, and a birthday party over here, a year later he becomes what he was or worse. So what? You want to be a righteous person? For a period of time, clean your lifestyle from all the negative things you used to do. You have friends from college, they took you to nightclubs in Manhattan, they gave you drugs, they gave you cocaine. Cut from these people, don't say hello to them, no phone calls to them, no nothing whatsoever. You see them on the street, you cross the street. Why? It's just a matter of time. He comes and offer you something. Come, only tonight, don't worry, we know you're religious. I see it all the time. Rish Lakish, I was a gangster, I don't talk to anyone anymore. If I spoke to you, it's only because you're 100% a kosher person. That's why everyone was following him. They went to see, he spoke to this person. Hey, come, can we invest money by you in your business? We don't need any, we trust you 100%. The reputation was so strong, they trust everyone. This is what to show us how he cleaned his complete lifestyle. Yes?
But if you have two friends that grew together, they weren't religious, one of them became religious, the other one is not, but the religious one can influence the not religious one.
Yeah.
So what do you, like, and I mean, I know cases like that. I have friends, the one became very religious, and he actually made the other guy start keeping Shabbat, and start keeping kosher.
First of all, we have to understand that once a secular Jew become religious, it's not his job yet to make anyone religious. Not his parents, not his brothers, not his neighbors, not his cousin, not his friends. First, you have to fill up your own cup. Once your cup is full and some spills out, the ones who spills out will go to your friends. You're not full yet, your friends eventually will damage you. And it could be your parents, doesn't matter who. If they are anti and they speak against and they have hard questions and you are not aware of the answers, the more you hear what they say, the more weak spiritually they'll make you. So it's not your job. Of course, you have an obligation to save the life of every Jew. Needless to say, your own relatives. So what do? You bring them CDs. Here, you have free CDs over here. Even the world become religious when they hear it. 25 hours of proofs. How many proofs a person needs? Here, you have 4 or 5 CDs, 100 hours of lectures. Person hears it. If he's a little bit honest, right away becomes Shomer Shabbat. Not your job. Here, Dad, listen in a car. Here, brother, listen to this CD. He doesn't want to listen, bribe him. Buy him something. Buy him a suit, buy him a watch. Tell him, if you listen, you promise me, you give me a word, I'll buy you this watch. I'll buy you this ticket to Israel. Whatever you do. Find a way to make your friends and relatives listen to people who are professional and making others religious. It's not your job. One day maybe you become also a speaker who knows the answer to almost every question, and you'll be able to deal with them. It's a profession. You have to understand, you can be the biggest rabbi in the world, and you cannot speak 1 hour with secular people. Not only you won't help them, you make them bigger damage. And I've seen it all the time happen. Why? You speak to them because you don't have experience where they come from. You grew up in Mea Sha'arim, in Borough Park, in Williamsburg. You never saw a woman in your life. You don't know what drugs are. You don't know what Facebook. You don't know what they go through their life. You don't know anything about these people. And now you talk to them in a level of Monroe and Monsey. Well, what's in them for? You have to talk to them in a language of Goyim, something that they understand. First, to take them away from the most critical sins that they do, 5, 6 sins, before it's too late. If they die tomorrow, they finish. First, get them out of this category. And then, slowly, you move them to the next level. I give you an example. I know someone who was mamash like a goy. He got married, him and his wife, looks like 2 movie stars from the movies, and they went to Israel, and they sat for 2 hours with a very strong religious guy. The religious guy asked the movie star, he told him, tell me, why you believe in the 10 Commandments? So he said, yes. So he said to him, why you don't keep Shabbat? So he said to him, it's difficult. I like to go to the beach on Shabbat. Every rabbi you tell him, I like to go to the beach on Shabbat. I say, to go to the beach? Thousands of naked women? You crazy? You know what the sin it is? Would he listen to you? He would think, let me get rid of this psycho before it's gonna ruin my night. So he didn't tell him, you're not allowed to go to the beach. He told him, over there in America, you have 2 days off, Saturday and Sunday. Go to the beach on Sunday. Shabbat, you keep. So he told him, what else? So the guy started to think, you know what, what's the problem? I'll go Sunday. Okay. So he said to him, tell me, what else do you like to do on Shabbat that because of that you're not keeping Shabbat? He said, I love NBA games. You know, so now it's the playoff. I like the games. There's 2 games every Shabbat. He told him, no problem. Leave the television off. Put the remote away. Don't touch any buttons. Sit the entire Shabbat and watch basketball. But don't touch anything. What else? He said, I live in a very high floor in Manhattan. Stand by the elevator. When the guy comes in, walk in with him. The guy will ask you what floor. You tell him the same like yours. He click 10. You go to 10. The rest, you're going to go up by yourself. He click 17, you go down. You know, that's it. You use the goyim, you follow them, you go into the elevator. He made it so easy for him. He had no, what else do you like? He said, I love rock and roll music. I listen to 10 hours music every day. He said, leave on one of the room, the radio, all day rock and roll music on Shabbat. What else do you like? Timers, lights, on, off, hot tray, plata, you know, you can cook, you do whatever. He didn't tell him, you're not allowed to eat liquid. You're not allowed, you know, only dry food. He didn't go into details with him. Let's first get him out of the dirt that he lives in. He lives in the darkness. First, get him out. Then, there's enough time. We'll work with him. Now, every other one, say, what? You go here, you do this, you do that. It's Tarbut HaGoyim. Why do you care about sport? It comes from the Greeks. You go to the beach, you know, it's a horrible thing. A person should never go there. He should die and not go there. And what would happen to this guy? Would die, goy. So you see that to make people religious is a whole profession. You can be limited in your knowledge in Torah, but have experience with the psychology of the people and charisma, and you do the job. You can be the number 1 learner in Torah, and not only you don't help him, you make him a damage. It's a whole new job. It's one thing to teach Gemara, as it's one thing to make people religious. So therefore, everyone who becomes Shomer Shabbat, don't run right away. Hey, mommy, daddy, you do this wrong, you do that. Problems begins in the family, the parents go crazy, they begin to hate the religion, we're losing our children. Leave them alone. Give them CDs, give them DVDs, invite them in a nice way. They make the worst sins, you're not going to be able to change us with fights. And the people, I know they care about their parents, they want to save them from losing their share to the world to come, but there's a right way to do it. When you come to a person that is not capable of hearing all the truth in one shot, you not only do not help him, you give him overdose, you make it worse. Now he becomes anti-religion. Up to now he was respecting the religion, kissing the mezuzah, respecting the rabbi. Now he begins to hate, to fight, and do on purpose to get you angry. And also there's a rule, you're only allowed to tell a person that he does something wrong when you know there's a chance he would listen to you. If you know his nature, that he's arrogant, and he's angry, and he's violent, and he's full of ego, better not to talk to him. Leave him alone. If he's a clown, if he's going to make fun, don't talk to him. There's no obligation to correct him. If the person is humbled, is willing to receive criticism in the right way, he may argue, fine. But he's accepting, then you talk to him. If not, leave him alone. This is the rules. I'm telling you rules, everyday rules, but you have to know. So first we have to worry about ourselves. Then we worry about the others. More questions?
Ramchal, yeah? That's Ramchal? Says not to do it?
Yeah, it's not only the Ramchal, it's every advice, every rabbi. Any more questions about what we spoke so far?
Can if somebody has an iPad, can they put your lectures like 200 hours of Shabbat running, or?
Yes, you can put the downloads before Shabbat, and it goes the entire Shabbat and downloads. The same thing.
No, I mean, can they listen to?
On Shabbat? No, cannot listen.
If they don't touch it. If the room runs, if somebody is starter, let's say.
I tell you something. If a person watch television and does bad things, and because he's going to listen to Divrei Torah that runs by itself all Shabbat instead of watching the dirty movies that he watched, then it's a mitzvah. But I cannot say that it's allowed, because to use electronic device and listen to it on Shabbat is not allowed. But it's not a sin from the Oraita. It's a rabbinical law. Why? Because, you know, 1 minute you forget and you click stop, or you click fast forward, or it's stop and you forget and you click and then you remember it's Shabbat. However, there's no question in my mind that if a person watch dirty movies or drive in a car on Shabbat, and instead of that he's going to stay in a room the entire Shabbat without touching the iPhone and listen to lecture all Shabbat. When he comes to Hashem, it's going to help him a lot. Because at least he did not violate Shabbat from the Oraita, and he was learning Torah all Shabbat. So he made a violation of a rabbinical law. What's better, to make one sin the Rabbanan and gain thousands of mitzvot from the Torah, or to gain thousands of sins from the Torah? You understand? You put it on the scale, there's nothing to compare. But to order people go and listen to lectures on Shabbat, I cannot. But I want to tell you something else. There are things, for instance, that you can start before Shabbat and it happens by itself on Shabbat. All you have to do is just to click the button before. For instance, you want to do a long download. If you do it 5 minutes before Shabbat and it continues by itself, there's no problem. It's like electric. We put it on and it goes by itself for Shabbat.
But no, you mean it's playing?
No, I'm saying downloading. Playing is already, like I say, playing. What happened to playing? You know that sometimes it gets stuck, the internet stops. What do? Come, fix the wire. That's one thing leads to another. I'll give you another example. If guest wants to come to you for Shabbat, and you know they're going to drive on Shabbat, they drive back home. So are you allowed to invite them? First of all, some rabbis say yes, it's not my problem what they do. I didn't tell them to violate Shabbat. But the opinion about this question is not allowed to invite them. But you have to tell them, I set a room for you by us, or a room for you by the neighbors to stay over. Once you set a room for them, you can invite them. If they decide to live on their own, that's their problem. But here comes the problem. These guests that comes, they don't come empty-handed. They bring wine, whiskey, flowers. They come to your house on Shabbat, and everything they brought you're not allowed to use on Shabbat. Why? Because the violation of Shabbat by a Jew, you cannot use ever on that Shabbat. The people who did not violate Shabbat can use it on Motzei Shabbat, Saturday night. The person who violates Shabbat is not allowed to enjoy from his violation for eternity, ever. Ever.
Well, so wine, if they bring wine, are you allowed to drink?
Not on Shabbat, only on Motzei Shabbat, if it's a kosher wine.
Where it says that even if it's kosher wine, the Jewish person brings a drink of Shabbat, then it's like yain nesech, it's like it's worse.
No, because it's not cooked wine. We're talking mevushal, kosher wine, mevushal. And even if it's not mevushal and they brought it, once it's sealed, even a goy touch it, it's still kosher. It's only become a problem when a mechalel Shabbat opened it and shaked it. Then it's become not kosher. But if you only hold it when it's sealed, that's no problem. It's only become a problem when you opened it. Or you opened it and he shaked it. If he shaked it or pour from it, that's it. The entire bottle you have to spill. Why? Because that's the rule. Mechalel Shabbat is 100% like a goy. The Shulchan Aruch says. You touch a goy, touch it, you have to spill the wine, even if it's $1,000 bottle. And there are $1,000 bottles of wine. What can you do? Violation of Shabbat, it's not a joke. So, but everything he did, even he heat water now. Let's see, 10 minutes before Shabbat is over, he put water on a fire and heat water for himself. And he also want a cup of coffee. You're not allowed to make a cup of coffee with his water. Why? Because he violates Shabbat. It's a stoning, it's a punishment that requires stoning and has no share to the world to come. It's a big tragedy. You don't enjoy from someone else's tragedy. However, if Shabbat is over 10 minutes later and the water is still hot, Motzei Shabbat, you're allowed to use the water. Why? You can heat up yourself. You don't need him. So I'm not enjoying his violation. I can turn the fire and do it for myself. But on Shabbat, without him, I wouldn't be able to have hot water. What happens if you have a maid, a goya, works in your house? If she does things for you for Shabbat, you're not allowed to use it. However, if she heat hot water for herself in the morning, she wants to make herself coffee in the morning, the goya, and there's left water, she makes for herself. Then you can come and take the water and make yourself coffee. But if she saw you and she put water for you, you're not allowed to use the water. If you sit in a room and read in a almost, complete darkness, and she comes to turn the light for you, you're not allowed to enjoy the light. If she turns it for herself, you can come to the room and sit and read. There's rules. You have to know the rules. But like I said, before we going into these rules, which most of them are rabbinical laws, I always like to address the critical problems that we have. What are they? The main problems that we have today, all of us. Number one, Shabbat deoraita, driving cars, electric, light bulbs, telephone, internet, whatever. This was mamash violation of Shabbat. Number two, the internet. 70,000 people today in a stadium, in a big gathering, against the horrible disaster that the internet caused in the last 20 years to the Jewish world. Thousands of casualties. People who were religious, holy people are down the drain. Thousands of divorces. Tens of thousands of children in drugs, in prostitution, in child molesting, all because of the internet. Before the internet, it was very difficult to see all these options. Now you click a button, it all comes to your face and destroy you in a minute. It used to be 2-3 generations ago, a person who wanted to do scenes had to travel sometimes 10 years to complete a scene. Today it's in 10 seconds, everywhere you go, you click buttons. So they already know to prevent people from going into the internet, there's no chance whatsoever. But to make it kosher, there is a chance. Do it kosher internet, filters, not modest pictures, automatically it doesn't open. Go into dirty website without realizing. Sometimes they give you a link, you click, all of a sudden you find yourself in a bad things, so it protects you, it doesn't let you in. You work for someone's office, there's codes, you work in real estate, so it allows you only to go to real estate website. Plus it eliminates bad pictures. So there's filters. I'm not an expert in internet, I don't know how the filters work, but there are solutions. There's kosher internet. So if you already have to use the internet for work and for all kinds of things that you must use it right. Just like food, you have to eat kosher. Just like a car. You can have a car, drive to kosher places, don't drive to bad places. Do good things with a car. Everything Hashem gave us in this world can be used good and bad. It's our choice what to use it for. A car is a good thing? Depend. If you drive with that to do chesed, yes. If you drive to the club in Manhattan on Shabbat, it's very bad, the car. The car is not bad, you are bad. We are bad, not the car. The internet is not bad necessarily. You know how much Torah you can learn through internet? You know how many things you can find, how many answers to your question you can find through the internet? But internet can destroy it, and we see all the time that it destroys. However, since the nature of people is very weak, either they put a guard when they go in, or they put all these kosher filters who protects them, because most of the people are falling into this trap. And once they're in, who's going to save them? So what are the other problems? The other problems that we have today is the girls, the modesty with the girls. No modesty whatsoever, mini skirt, tight pants, clear clothes, cut sleeves, everything, tons of lipsticks, high heels from here to the top of the Empire State Building. You know, this is not Judaism. Finally, a woman wants to cover her hair with a wig. Fine, do it. You want to do it that way? Fine. That's your choice? Fine. But do it kosher. What is this? All the way to the floor, that, colors. Better off to walk with your natural hair. It's not as attractive as this wig. The Torah wanted you to be modest, not a flashy model, walks in the street, a mother of 4 kids. What's going on here? So we have to address our critical issues. Also, one more thing, and we'll finish with that. We have problems with our children. Most of the children are abused. Almost every kid today in this world is growing up abused. Now, abuse is not necessarily you beat him up and break his bones. Abuse can be verbally, abuse can be mental pressure, abuse can be lack of attention, no love, and they develop hate to life. I had by me sometimes in the past guests that grew up in supposedly the most religious neighborhoods. And they hate their religion so much, and when you begin to talk to them, you really find out they don't have any problem with religion. They only got messed up with their parents who didn't know how to give them the love. And everything was forcing and violence and punishments and screaming. What kid would love it? If everything connects to religion was involved with screaming and yelling and beating, who would love it? Nobody would love it. And not everything you have to make a comment if your son does. You have to know when to make a big deal, when not. If you constantly say, no, you're wrong, you're wicked, you're wrong, you're this, you're that, in the end he runs away. He doesn't want to hear. So this is a problem. We don't know how to educate the kids. We have to learn. You don't know how to educate your kids. In 5-10 years from now, they'll be destroyed. And what are you going to do then? You know, there's nothing more painful for a religious person that his kid leave their religion and go and become like a goy and ended up marry goyim or goyim, goya, goy. If they could give all their millions to reverse the will, they'll do it. But when they could have prevented for a few $1,000s, they didn't want. When I tell them, send your kids to yeshiva, they get Jewish education. It's expensive. How much? $500 a month. No, too much. He makes millions. No, too much. What happened later, 5 years later, he calls, can you help me out, Rabbi? What? My daughter wants to marry Muhammad. That's what happened. Why? She sat next to Muhammad 5 years in a class. She's in love with him. He's a nice guy, gave her attention. You know, he's not from the Hamas, so what do you want? She doesn't see any problems between her and him. The truth is, really, there's no problem. There's no problems between us and the Goyim. Some Goyim could be more righteous than us, more educated, more wealthy, they're better character. They sometimes are more Baalei Chesed. It's not about who's better. It's about what Hashem says. Hashem says we are not allowed to mix with the Goyim. It's not in our hand. It doesn't matter who's more righteous. It doesn't matter. Some people think, oh, I'm better. I'm VIP. I'm superb. I'm holy, and he's garbage. No. Even the most righteous Gentile in the world and the worst Jew in history cannot get married. Nothing to do with who's righteous. Hashem loved the Gentile more than this wicked Jew, I promise you. But still, it's a law, that's it. It's not open to an argument. You cannot marry, that's it. What can you do? So when Hashem says what you're allowed, what you're not allowed. And one more thing, no one is allowed to tell people not allowed on something that is allowed. Just because you want to be in the highest level for yourself doesn't mean you have to force everyone who asks you to be like you. So you do not do it, fine. When someone comes and asks you, is this allowed or not, you must tell him it's allowed. I recommend you to go strict on that, but it's allowed. He asks you, you have to tell him the truth. Why? Because he doesn't know. You tell him it's not allowed, and he comes and tells another person it's not allowed. What happened in the end? People who does it, all of a sudden everyone thinks they're wicked. And I'll tell you a story and we'll finish with that. The Saba Slovodka, there was a yeshiva, so he had a student in his yeshiva that decided to accept Shabbat 1 hour earlier. 1 hour earlier. Shabbat is 7, he accepted at 6. Everyone else still doing things, laundry, this, that, whatever they prepare. They prepare for Shabbat. So one time the Saba from Slovodka, the Rosh Yeshiva, he called him up. He said, tell me, between you and I, when you look at all your friends that you're already keeping Shabbat an hour before the time, and all your friends are still doing things, don't it makes you think that they are wicked, they are not really righteous, your friends, compared to you? So he said to him, Rabbi, I tell you the truth, yeah, I feel like this. So he thought that the rabbi is going to say, wow, you're in a very high level compared to them. So the rabbi told him, I commend you right now to stop with this. You keep Shabbat a minute before it starts, not an hour before. Why the rabbi did it? He wants to keep Shabbat an hour extra. It's good, he wants to be extra righteous. There's no problem being extra righteous. But once it makes you think that everyone else who does the requirement is wicked, that means you're full of ego and baloney. You're not doing it for them. It's all about pride. That's all about pride. And I always say, many people look very righteous from the outside, check inside very deep, they are full of baloney. It's all ego. All ego. Everything is about making a show off that is righteous. Making a show. It's all about show off. Check him inside rooms, he's a monster. Check him on a stage, he's a Baba Sali. You want to be Baba Sali, make sure you're Baba Sali, whether when you're in yeshiva, whether you speak, whether you're inside the bathroom. You're the same Baba Sali. Baba Sali was always Baba Sali. Rav Ben Zion Abba Shaul was Baba, whether he was asleep, whether he was awake, whether he was learning, whether he's everywhere, he was the same righteous person, always. Nothing to pretend. It's all about show off. Show off, this, that, making, screaming in a shul, everyone pays attention to you. What is this? That's not what Hashem is interested in, all this show off. The opposite, all this show off take away from your merits. Not only it's not mitzvah, if you do something to brag, it's not a mitzvah, because to be a proud person is a big sin. It's much more important for Hashem that a person that is corrupted, is full of ego, honor, stinginess, laziness, jealousy, anger, will correct all these negative than someone who learns a lot of Torah and stay the same corrupted person. What do you think is better? Person that work on his character and stop doing all the negative behaving, or a person who learns a lot of Torah and gives beautiful show off, and at the same time is angry and stingy and lashon hara and instigate and jealous and politics? Today, there's hardly any place in the world, hardly, that you can go in and don't find politics. Not only by the Jews, Goyim, everyone is against everyone. By the Christian, Catholic, Protestant, this kind, Seventh-day Adventist, everyone is against everyone. The Muslim, same thing, Shiites, Sunni, this, that, everyone against everyone. Everyone blows everyone. One car here, one car there. You don't know who's against who. He's Muslim. They all screaming Allahu Akbar and one blow the other. You don't know what's going on. So by us, Baruch Hashem, we don't blow each other with bombs. But sometimes words are worse than bombs. Racism, disrespect, no tolerance, no patience. Just because he has different accent. Just because his yarmulke is different. Just because he doesn't dress exactly like you. And in the end, people forget that none of these things is a requirement from the Torah. Hashem doesn't care how your accent is. Hashem doesn't really care how long is your beard, if you think that your beard is going to bring you to heaven. No. And how is your hat? Is it this way or that way, with a fair, without a fair, or you don't have hat? It's nonsense. All these people think that their holy vision from the outside will bring them to heaven. Think again. It won't make you 1 inch forward. Nothing. But if you were arrogant and you stop, that's a great step forward. You used to be angry and you're not, that's a big achievement. You used to be stingy and now you're generous, you give. That's a very big thing. Sometimes one thing you corrected can already save you. You have a lot of other problems, but Hashem is so satisfied when you being an angry person and now you stop. No more screaming, no more abusing, no more disrespecting, no more insulting. Have patience for every person, be a better father, etc. That's a big achievement. When you need to get a big punishment for your other sins, believe me, it will help you. Why? Because this was the purpose of life. To come negative and finish positive. Come negative means bad traits, bad personality, bad habits, and finish everything positive. No anger, no laziness, no stinginess. None of these things. Have strong faith, confidence in Hashem, honesty, integrity, respect every human being, Jews and non-Jews. That's a righteous person. Just to be a robot, tefillin, he doesn't think 1 second about that tefillin for 20 years, like a robot. In the middle of the night, you wake him up, you see it, same thing. What is this? That's what Hashem wants. What's difficult to achieve, that brings a lot of reward. What's easier, to put tefillin 2 minutes and say Shema Israel, or to change your anger? That you never scream. And you never honk in traffic like Meshuga. Like crazy. It shows you who the person is. But he has very nice beard. Muhammad in India also had the Sikh, he has turban like the Ben Ish Chai and very long white beard, and he wear white kilt, and he sit on a rug, next thing the rug will fly. But he bow down to the cow and drink the pee of the cow for breakfast with cornflakes. That's what he does. Go to India, see what they do. When the cow makes what they makes, they fight for them. They go, move, I want to drink it. No, I want to drink it. They fight. If you show them that you slaughter the cow, forget it, they execute you. One time, when I used to live in Manhattan, I had the car indoor parking. So one time I come with the car, and there was this Indian guy who parked the car for you. So you leave the car, and you go, and he parks the car. So the next day when I come in the morning, I want to get in the car. He comes to me. He runs. I say, yes. He say, tell me, can I have one like this? I look, I say, I have Birkat HaDerech, the blessing of the way, in Hebrew and in English. I say, yeah, why not? Why, you believe in it? He say, sure. Ask God to protect us on the way. So I say to myself, oh, finally an Indian who doesn't worship an idol. So I say to him, wow, great, as long as you know, one of these people who bow down to the idols or to the cow. As soon as he heard the cow, his face became angry. What do you mean the cow? I say, these people who bow down to the cow is holy. I say, why the cow is holy? Listen to the answer. Because it's like mother. Mother gives birth in 9 months. The cow gives birth in 9 months. So what's the connection? Because of that the cow is holy? Never say hello to me from then on. Couldn't look at me. That I criticize is God. You understand? This is what we live in the 21st century, people who bow down to the cow. But we, Baruch Hashem, has the real Torah and the real eternity. We brought civilization to humanity. We published the laws of God to the world. Everything they know comes from us. Everything. They may forget it, but the truth is the truth. And we might as well be, I said in my previous lecture, 500,000 Jews are doing what God wants from 13.2 million. About 500,000, approximately. Do you want to be in this VIP league? Yes or no? It's 100% in your hand. Nobody holds your hand. You want to be Shomer Shabbat, learns Torah, modest, honest, etc. Who's holding you? Who's holding you? You can get to the top. 500,000 from 7 billion people in the world. There's 500,000 who Hashem is happy with. You don't want to be there? A little bit more efforts, and you're there. It's not so difficult. It's much easier than what people think. You just have to get on the road. Yes?
In one of your past lectures, you were emphasizing like how being Shomer Shabbat is very important. So you said that a person who eats pork, but then a person that keeps Shabbat, I don't know, he said something about it. I don't know exactly what he said something about that.
Pork and Shabbat?
Yeah.
Violating Shabbat even once is a lot worse than eating pork. A lot worse. Eating pork, it's a sin from the Torah and there's a punishment for it. Violating Shabbat, you become a goy immediately and lost your share to the world to come. If you eat pork, you're still a Jew. And you did not lose your share to the world to come. You're subject to a punishment, but you're still a Jew. Even if you're a murderer, you're still a Jew. You're a thief, you're still a Jew. Madoff is still a Jew if he was keeping Shabbat.
So if you're a murderer and you keep Shabbat...
If you're a murderer and you keep Shabbat, you're a Jew. If you're mechalel Shabbat and you're not a murderer, you're not a Jew. Yes?
I heard a rabbi saying that there is a sin that a person does that he goes to Gehenom and he never gets out of it.
Right.
Lending with interest, with Rabbi.
No, that's not correct. Lending money with interest to a Jew is not resurrecting in the resurrection of the death. That's the punishment.
Right.
In Tchiyat HaMetim.
So it says it lists an avera that I think that's avera that it lists that a person doesn't come out from Gehenom. So it doesn't say about Shabbat though. So how?
Sure it does. Sure it does. I'll tell you what are the sins that a person go to the 7th lowest place in hell and never ever comes out of there. 1 is mechalel Shabbat. 2nd, wasting seed on purpose, not accidental, on purpose. And 3rd, chilul Hashem, disgrace the name of Hashem with his yarmulke, with his Hebrew name, Jewish name, and does bad things in public, put him on television, on the highway, the way he behaves, and makes the Goyim hate the religion because he's behaving. All these 3 are going lemador shvi, open Reshit Chochmah, chapter of Gehenom, and you see over there the Mador Shvi called Tachtit Haaretz. Everyone who goes there never ever comes out of there for eternity. One of them is Mechalel Shabbat, of course.
So what about a person? I heard something by Yehuda Tshuva that If a Jew...
Every person who made tshuva right away changed to a positive status, even if he did not complete his tshuva yet.
Right, that's what I'm saying. You only thought about it.
He changed your status, yes. But don't forget that if you only think about tshuva and in the end you died without tshuva, the thinking doesn't help you that much. You still have to change. Thinking is the good start. But Hashem, I'm always thinking to be Shomer Shabbat. What can I do? I drive every Shabbat. Thinking and doing is two different things. Thinking is a good start. If a person thought, okay, this Shabbat I'm going to keep, and then he died, the thinking will help him. But if he continued to violate, what's the point? He didn't never make tshuva. I have a whole series, I think it's over here on the CDs. Tshuva, laws of repentance, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Every Jew must hear it, must know it by heart. It's the correction for every category of sins. Which are the hard sins to correct, which one is so-so, and which one is very difficult to correct. A person doesn't learn how to make tshuva, how is going to cure himself? If a person doesn't know how to take care of his problem, he will never get cured. He's trying to get cured, he will die sick. Sick means spiritually. The way to correct it is to listen to this series of 6 laws of repentance, very powerful lectures. Every Jew would know how to do tshuva. In Hebrew, I have it in 3 lectures, a little bit more brief. But it's okay, one way or the other. If you hear this series and this series, you will know how to make tshuva. Yes?
I go to a special school that they don't allow me to keep Shabbat. What should I do?
Quit that school immediately.
What?
Quit that school immediately. Your life of eternity is more important than a school. But I don't understand. What school don't allow you to keep Shabbat? It's against the law in America.
It's like a boarding school / rehab.
So what do you have to do there in Shabbat? They force you to write? What?
No, to clean.
To clean? You got to quit that school. Find a solution, different solution. No man can tell us things against God's order. No one. No one, not your wife, not your husband, not your father, not your Rabbi, not your teacher, not the President of the United States. Everything they tell you to do against the halakha, against Shulchan Aruch, against the Torah, you're not allowed to listen to them, unless if they're threatening to kill you. If they put a gun to your head, then you have to listen, with 3 exceptions. If they tell you to bow down to an idol, to go have relation with a forbidden woman, and to murder someone, then you're not allowed to agree, you have to die. But everything else you have to listen. If with a gun to your head, but if they're just threatening you that you're gonna get kicked out of school, or you won't get a degree, or whatever, no, so I don't get a degree. I'm not gonna be a murderer just because I want to be a doctor. You understand? So that's not justification to violate one-time Shabbat for any school, for trillions of dollars. There's no permission. No. If a person comes to you and says, light 1 cigarette for a second, and I give you $1 billion, and with this $1 billion you open 500 yeshivot, and help all the widows in the world, and all the poor people, and solve all the divorce problem, and take care of every problem in the Jewish world, $1 trillion. Just light a cigarette once, and I'm giving you the money. You're not allowed to do it. Not allowed. Hashem will not bring salvation through a sin. It's all a test. You understand? There's no permission. Any question? Last question? Thank you very much. Yeah, you have another one? Yeah, one last question. I'm sorry. Yeah?
There is a book that it's the bestseller in New York Times. It's called, I haven't read it, but it's a talk of the whole...
You know what's the bestseller in Jordan now? the Babylonian Talmud in Arabic.
Yes, I heard
The #1 seller, $700 a set. In Jordan, you can live 3 months rent with $700. And the Arabs in Jordan buy the Talmud in Arabic. And they learn Gemara. In Korea, in every school they learn it. In China, in many schools. Soon the whole world will learn Gemara. I just hope we won't forget the Gemara. Maybe the Goyim will teach us. No?
This book, there is a talk of every circle of, it's called 50 Shades of Grey. It's a novel, it's a spiel. It's about a person, billionaire, a guy, 27 years old, and he has girlfriends and he likes to hit them so badly in order to have relation. It's his...
No? So what's the point?
Way.
Yeah.
And lots of married women that, they talk about it, say they love they love this character, but does that explain that abuse? It's very widespread throughout the world. I mean, if somebody enjoys,
I'm aware of people who are masochists. They like to torture themselves. Everything good that happened to them, they make sure to ruin it. There are people like this. What's the reason for that? I can give you a whole lecture about it right now. Sometimes it's from your childhood, from things that affected you in your childhood. Sometimes it's from previous life. Sometimes it's the nature of a person that he loves to suffer and the pain, and then when the pain is over, he feels salvation. There's all kinds of reasons for it. But let's leave it for another, it's a whole different lecture. Thank you very much for coming. Thank you very much.